You watch a new person coming into this wondrous place of the White House, and it's really hard. That's why the dignity and the grace of all those who were willing to stand at that inaugural stand and come and witness the new person coming in means so much. It was such a symbolic moment to see Ford there when Carter's coming in. And indeed, Carter gave a nice statement about Ford, and everybody stood up, and it made Ford almost come to tears. And you see Carter standing there when he has lost, and he's waiting for the new person. And you see Bush Sr. doing the same thing. That moment, I think, just characterizes for the American people, these guys have class, and they're really able to show it at that symbolic moment of transition.
That is the one thing we've seen in one inauguration after another, Michael Beschloss, grace. Grace that Jimmy Carter showed the Reagans, despite the fact that he and Rosalynn were heartbroken. That grace was returned. You could say the same thing about George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton. Just heartbreaking for 41, and yet he did nothing but show grace. And let's be honest this morning. It was a complete lack of grace that defined Donald Trump's inaugural address 4 years ago, where he didn't reference Hillary Clinton or anyone else up there, but instead talked about American carnage, and then spent the end of this term trying to prove those of us wrong who always believed there would be a peaceful transition of power. The events of the last 2 weeks show he was perfectly fine with his mob going in with hopes of hanging his vice president, hopes of killing the Speaker of the House, and hopes of delaying the constitutional counting of the electoral votes, because he wanted to do whatever he could do to stay in power. And here we are 2.5 weeks later, as the smoke is still clearing from that horrid event.
You are so right, Joe. And, you know, all of our lives, we've had these presidents come in. We just assume that they love democracy and that they honor the tradition of the peaceful transfer of power. And here we have a situation we have all just barely survived 4 years of this guy who hates democracy, has a lust for power, has contempt for ideas like peaceful transfer of power. And it's almost a parable for us to have gone through 2 weeks ago that experience right in the same place 2 weeks ago today in the Capitol, where the president incited that insurrection. That was an attack, a terrorist attack against Congress that could have resulted in assassinations and hostage takings and a disruption of the presidential election. And conceivably, Joe, 2 weeks ago, we could have lost our democracy, and just think what we would be talking about this morning. So I think one thing it does is, as we think about things like those transitions in the past when you've had graceful presidents and incoming first ladies come to the White House and they're taken in by people like Dwight Eisenhower entertaining John Kennedy and his wife, you know, we've just assumed that that's a part of our democracy that we can depend on. What we've been taught during the last 4 years is that it's not. 4 years ago today, Donald Trump gave that speech, just as you've said, Joe, called American Carnage. Well, Democratic tradition would say that a new president uses an inaugural address to try to unite the country, bring everyone together. That was really the first time in American history we have ever heard a president trying to pit group upon group and talk down this country. It's been 4 years of this, almost every single hour, and all I can say is thank God it's over and it's nice to be together.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.